Coach humiliates black athlete in front of recruiter, unaware of who recruiter really is. Jordan Matthews stood in the gym, the familiar scent of sweat and polished hardwood filling his lungs. His heart raced as he bounced a basketball rhythmically, the sound echoing in the nearly empty space. Today was a big day. A college recruiter was coming to watch practice. This was his chance to shine, to prove to everyone that he was more than just another athlete. He was a contender for a scholarship, a future. He glanced at the clock on the wall, watching the seconds tick away. It was almost time for practice to begin. The gym doors swung open, and his teammates trickled in, chatting and laughing, their energy infectious. Jordan couldn't help but smile as he exchanged high fives and nods with his friends. They were all here for the same reason, to make a name for themselves and escape the confines of their small town. But as the familiar figure of Coach Rick Thompson entered, the atmosphere shifted. Coach Thompson was a force of nature. Tall, broad-shouldered, with a booming voice that could silence a room in an instant. He had a reputation for being tough, pushing his players to their limits. But lately, his methods had crossed the line. Jordan had seen too many teammates walk away in tears after a single practice, humiliation etched across their faces. The coach's tough love approach was grating, and today, Jordan worried it might derail his chance at impressing the recruiter. "All right, listen up," Coach Thompson shouted as he strode to the center of the court. The chatter faded as all eyes turned to him. "We have a college recruiter watching today, and I expect you to bring your A game. No slacking off. If you think you're going to impress anyone with half-hearted effort, you're sorely mistaken." Jordan felt a knot form in his stomach. He had practiced tirelessly for this moment, but the pressure was mounting. The coach's words hung heavy in the air, and Jordan tried to shake off the anxiety that threatened to engulf him. He focused on the ball, dribbling it harder, trying to drown out the coach's harsh tone. As practice began, they ran through drills, Coach Thompson barking orders and criticisms as they moved. Jordan felt the sweat dripping down his back, his muscles burning, but he pushed through, determined to show he was ready. He made shot after shot, feeling the rhythm of the game flow through him, but he couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. The coach seemed to be looking for faults, waiting for an opportunity to pounce. "Matthews!" Coach Thompson shouted, and Jordan's heart sank. "Get your head in the game. You think you're good enough to play at the next level? Prove it." Jordan felt the eyes of his teammates on him, a mix of sympathy and schadenfreude. He took a deep breath, trying to focus on the game and not the pressure. He couldn't let the coach's words get to him. Not today. Jordan pushed himself harder, running the drills with intensity, determined to impress the recruiter. However, the moment of truth arrived too soon. In a fast break, Jordan found himself open for an easy layup. But as he went for the shot, he miscalculated his approach. The ball bounced off the rim and fell to the ground. Jordan's heart sank. The gym fell silent, and he could feel the weight of disappointment pressing down on him. "Seriously?" Coach Thompson's voice cut through the silence like a knife. "That's the best you can do? You think you're going to get a scholarship missing easy shots like that?" Laughter erupted from a couple of teammates, and Jordan's cheeks flushed with humiliation. He had never seen Coach Thompson react like this, and it struck him deep. The laughter of his peers was like daggers, each one piercing through the small shred of confidence he had left. "Get it together, Matthews. I'm not going to coddle you because there's a recruiter watching," the coach continued, his voice rising. "You want to be a player? Then act like it. You're wasting everyone's time." Jordan felt the heat rise in his chest, anger and embarrassment battling for control. This was not how he had envisioned the practice going. Coach Thompson's humiliation felt like a slap in the face, and for a moment all he could think about was how to respond. Should he confront the coach, stand up for himself, or should he keep his head down, focus on the recruiter, and let the moment pass? As he stood there, the gym buzzing with tension, Jordan's mind raced. He knew he had to make a decision, but the fear of further humiliation paralyzed him. He could see the recruiter sitting on the sidelines, notebook in hand, observing everything. Would he be able to see past this moment of weakness? Would he see the potential Jordan believed he had? "Get back in line, Matthews," Coach Thompson barked again, snapping Jordan out of his daze. "You're not going to let one mistake define you, are you?" Jordan took a deep breath, trying to center himself. He could feel the weight of his teammates' stares, the pressure of the recruiter's expectations. and the looming presence of Coach Thompson's anger. He had to rise above it to show everyone that he was more than just one missed shot. As the practice continued, Jordan pushed himself harder, determined to shake off the humiliation. He focused on each drill, pouring every ounce of effort into his movements. But every time he made a mistake, Coach Thompson would pounce, and the laughter from his teammates would echo in his ears. The humiliation was relentless, and with each passing minute, Jordan felt his confidence slipping away. "Come on, Matthews! You think this is a joke?" Coach Thompson roared as Jordan fumbled a pass. "You're acting like you don't care about this team or your future." Jordan clenched his fists, anger bubbling beneath the surface. He could feel the heat in his cheeks, the sting of humiliation mixing with the fire of determination. He wanted to stand up for himself, to confront Coach Thompson and let him know that he was more than the mistakes he made. But the fear of what would happen next kept him rooted in place. The whistle blew, signaling a break. Jordan stepped to the side, heart racing, trying to catch his breath. He could hear the murmur of his teammates, their voices a mix of concern and judgment. He could see the recruiter still watching, scribbling notes, and he felt a surge of desperation. As he leaned against the wall, Jordan remembered why he was here in the first place. This was his dream, his chance to show the world what he was capable of. He couldn't let Coach Thompson's words define him. He had to make a choice, and he had to make it now. The decision loomed large in his mind. Should he confront Coach Thompson and risk everything, or should he keep playing it safe and hope for the best? With a deep breath, Jordan squared his shoulders, determination igniting within him. He knew he had to take a stand, not just for himself, but for every athlete who had ever felt belittled and disrespected. As the players gathered again for the next drill, Jordan stepped forward, his heart pounding. It was time to make his voice heard. Jordan stepped forward, every heartbeat pounding in his ears as he approached Coach Thompson. The gym was filled with the scent of sweat and polished wood, but all he could focus on was the simmering anger and humiliation that had built up inside him. He could feel the eyes of his teammates on him, a mix of curiosity and apprehension. The recruiter was still watching, his pen poised over his notepad, and the weight of that gaze intensified Jordan's resolve. "Coach," Jordan said, his voice steady despite the whirlwind of emotions swirling within him. "I need to talk to you." The gym fell silent, the only sound the echo of the basketball bouncing in the background. Coach Thompson turned, surprise etched on his face. "What's this? You think you can just interrupt practice because you're feeling sorry for yourself?" Jordan took a deep breath, forcing himself to hold Coach Thompson's gaze. "I'm not feeling sorry for myself. I'm tired of being humiliated every time I make a mistake. I'm here to learn and improve, not to be belittled." "Belittled?" Coach Thompson scoffed, crossing his arms. "You think this is belittling? I'm trying to prepare you for the real world. If you can't handle a little criticism now, how do you expect to handle the pressure of college basketball?" "That's the thing, Coach," Jordan replied, his voice rising slightly. "I want to handle the pressure, but I can't do that if I'm constantly worried about being humiliated in front of everyone. That's not how you build a player's confidence." The air in the gym crackled with tension, and Jordan could now feel the eyes of his teammates boring into him. Some looked surprised, others apprehensive. A few even exchanged glances, as if silently rooting for him. Jordan's heart raced, but he pressed on, fueled by the anger that had been simmering for too long. "Look, I know you've got a reputation for tough love, but there's a difference between tough love and just tearing someone down," Jordan continued, his voice growing stronger. "I'm here to impress the recruiter today, and I want to show him what I can do, but every time I step on this court, all I hear is your voice telling me how I'm not good enough." Coach Thompson's expression hardened, but Jordan didn't back down. "I'm not asking for you to coddle me, but I need support, not insults. If you want me to succeed, then help me succeed. Don't keep pushing me down." For a moment, there was silence, the only sound the distant noise of basketballs bouncing in the background. Jordan could feel the tension in the air, thick enough to cut with a knife. He glanced over at the recruiter, who was now watching the exchange with keen interest, his pen hovering above the page. "Coach, I know I can do this," Jordan said, grounding himself. "I just need the chance to prove it. But I can't do it alone if you keep treating me like this." The coach's face was a mask of emotion, anger, surprise, and perhaps even a hint of respect. The gym buzzed with anticipation as everyone waited for his response. Finally, Coach Thompson uncrossed his arms, his demeanor shifting slightly. "All right, Matthews," he said, his voice calmer but still firm. "You want a chance to prove yourself? Then show me you can handle the pressure. Let's see what you've got." Jordan felt a rush of relief wash over him. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the opportunity to finally show his worth. The tension in the gym began to dissipate as the players resumed their positions, and Jordan could feel the energy shift in his favor. As practice resumed, Jordan focused on the drills, pouring every ounce of effort into his movements. He felt the adrenaline surge through him, propelling him to push harder, to prove to everyone that he was not just a talented athlete, but also a fighter. Each shot he took felt more purposeful, and with each successful basket, he began to regain the confidence that had been shaken moments earlier. The recruiter continued to watch, and Jordan could feel his eyes scrutinizing every move. With renewed determination, he pushed himself harder, making one impressive shot after another. The rhythm of the game flowed through him, and he began to silence the whispers of doubt that had plagued him just moments before. "Good, good," Coach Thompson barked, his tone shifting from criticism to encouragement. "That's what I want to see, Matthews. Keep it up." Jordan's teammates rallied behind him, cheering him on. The atmosphere shifted dramatically, and he could feel the camaraderie growing. They were no longer just players on a team. They were a unit, supporting one another in this moment. As practice progressed, Jordan felt the weight of his earlier humiliation lift. He stepped up during scrimmages, displaying his skills with newfound confidence. The recruiter's pen flew across the notepad, and Jordan couldn't help but feel a swell of pride. He was proving himself, not just to Coach Thompson, but to everyone watching. Then came the moment of truth. Jordan found himself with the ball in a critical situation. The gym fell silent as he dribbled down the court, the clock ticking down. He could see Coach Thompson on the sidelines, and for the first time, the coach's expression was one of anticipation instead of disdain. Jordan moved with precision, dodging defenders with practiced ease. He could hear his teammates shouting encouragement, and in that instant, everything clicked. He was not just playing for himself. He was playing for everyone who had ever been underestimated or belittled. As he approached the basket, he took a deep breath, focusing on the rim. In one fluid motion, he leaped and released the ball, watching it sail through the air. Time seemed to slow as the ball arced perfectly, and then, swish, the net rippled, and the gym erupted in cheers. Jordan landed back on the court, heart racing, the exhilaration of the moment washing over him. He couldn't believe it. He had done it. The laughter and mockery that had once stung like arrows were replaced by cheers of support. For the first time, he felt like he belonged, like he was not just another face on the team, but a vital part of something bigger. Coach Thompson clapped his hands, a rare smile breaking through his tough exterior. "That's how you do it, Matthews. That's how you play." Jordan turned to see the recruiter smiling, nodding in approval, and an overwhelming sense of accomplishment surged through him. He had faced humiliation and turned it into strength. This was his moment, and he had proven that he was more than just a player. He was a force to be reckoned with. As practice wrapped up, the team huddled together, celebrating their hard work and supporting one another. Jordan felt a sense of camaraderie that had been missing before, and for the first time, he was excited about the future. He glanced at Coach Thompson, who was now engaged with the recruiter, discussing the day's practice. Jordan felt a mixture of relief and pride. He had stood up for himself, and in doing so, he had not only changed the dynamics of practice, but had also earned the respect of his coach and teammates. As the players began to leave the gym, Jordan lingered for a moment, taking in the sight of the court that had become his sanctuary. The sweat on his brow, the pounding of his heart, all reminders of the battle he had fought today. He was ready for whatever came next, armed with the knowledge that he could rise above the challenges he faced. And just as he turned to leave, Coach Thompson caught his eye, giving him a nod of approval. "Great job today, Matthews. Keep that fire burning." Jordan smiled, feeling a sense of empowerment swell within him. He had faced humiliation and emerged stronger, ready to chase his dreams with renewed vigor. The next day at school, Jordan Matthews walked the hallways with a sense of purpose he hadn't felt before. The practice had changed everything. He was no longer just a player trying to earn a spot on a college team. He was a contender, someone who had stood up for himself and earned the respect of his teammates and coach. However, despite the newfound confidence, a nagging thought crept into his mind. The recruiter. What if his performance from yesterday wasn't enough? What if it had all been a fluke? As he made his way to class, Jordan spotted his best friend, Marcus, leaning against the lockers, his usual grin plastered across his face. "Hey, superstar, heard you lit up the court yesterday," Marcus teased, nudging him playfully. Jordan chuckled, a mix of pride and embarrassment washing over him. "Yeah, it was pretty intense. Coach Thompson actually praised me for once." Marcus raised an eyebrow, clearly impressed. "Wow, a compliment from the king of tough love? You must have done something right. What's the plan now?" Jordan shrugged, trying to play it cool. "I just need to keep it up. The recruiter will be back for more practices, and I can't let one good day define me." As they chatted, Jordan's mind drifted back to the moment he had confronted Coach Thompson. The memory was a mixture of exhilaration and anxiety. What if the coach's approval was just a temporary thing? Would he revert to his old ways when the pressure mounted again? Jordan couldn't shake the feeling that he had narrowly escaped a deeper pit of humiliation. When the bell rang, signaling the end of class, Jordan prepared for the day's practice. He felt butterflies in his stomach as he entered the gym, the scent of polished wood and sweat immediately enveloping him. The court was buzzing with energy as his teammates warmed up, the sound of sneakers squeaking against the floor echoing in the background. "Hey, Matthews," one of his teammates called out, grinning. "Ready to show the recruiter some more of that magic?" Jordan smiled, feeling the camaraderie in the air. "You know it, just trying to keep it consistent." As practice began, Coach Thompson strode onto the court, his presence commanding immediate attention. Jordan's heart raced at the sight of him. Would today be another day of tough love? Or had yesterday's confrontation changed something in the coach's approach? "All right, listen up," Coach Mason bellowed. "We've got a lot of work to do before the recruiter arrives. I expect nothing less than your best effort today." No slacking off. Jordan felt a familiar tension in the air, but he was determined to rise above it. As they started the drills, he threw himself into the practice, his focus sharp. Every shot he took felt more deliberate, every dribble more controlled. He was determined to prove that he wasn't just a fleeting moment of talent, he was here to stay. But as the practice wore on, Coach Thompson's demeanor began to shift. Instead of the encouraging tone from the day before, he reverted to his old ways, barking criticisms at the team. When Jordan missed a shot during a scrimmage, he felt the familiar sting of humiliation. "Matthews, get your head in the game," Coach Thompson yelled, his voice echoing through the gym. Jordan clenched his jaw, the anger rising within him again. He had thought they were moving forward, but it seemed the coach was back to his old self, and the pressure mounted as the recruiter watched from the sidelines. "Come on, Jordan, focus," Marcus shouted, trying to rally him. The support felt good, but it only heightened the pressure. Jordan couldn't afford to let his teammates down again. As the scrimmage continued, Jordan fought against the swirling emotions, determined to keep his head up. He made a couple of impressive plays, but every time he made a mistake, Coach Thompson was quick to pounce, his voice cutting through the air like a whip. "Why are you so inconsistent, Matthews? One minute you're on fire and the next you can't hit the broadside of a barn." Coach Thompson's words dripped with frustration, and the laughter from some of the teammates echoed in Jordan's ears. The gym felt oppressive, the laughter stinging like salt in a wound. Jordan's confidence began to waver as the coach's criticisms piled on. He could feel the pressure mounting again, the weight of expectations threatening to crush him. Finally, after what felt like an eternity, the recruiter approached the court, clipboard in hand. The tension in the gym shifted slightly as all eyes turned toward him. Jordan's heart raced as he saw the recruiter take a seat on the sidelines, observing the practice with keen interest. "All right, let's see some teamwork," Coach Thompson shouted, rallying the players. "I want to see how you work together under pressure." Jordan focused on the drill, trying to block out the noise of the coach's criticism and the recruiter's watchful gaze. He passed the ball, set screens, and moved with purpose, reminding himself of the potential that had sparked yesterday's confidence. But the moment of truth came during the final minutes of practice. With the clock ticking down, Jordan found himself with the ball again. He could feel the weight of the recruiter's eyes on him, and for a split second, doubt crept in. What if he failed? What if he let everyone down again? As he dribbled down the court, he noticed Coach Thompson's glare from the sidelines. "Make it count, Matthews," the coach barked, his voice a constant reminder of the pressure. Jordan took a deep breath, willing himself to focus. He remembered the support from his teammates, the camaraderie that had built over the past few days. With renewed determination, he drove toward the basket, weaving through defenders. As he approached the rim, he leaped and released the ball. Time seemed to freeze. The ball soared through the air, and Jordan held his breath. Swish! The ball sailed through the net and the gym erupted in cheers. The adrenaline surged through him, washing away the pressure and the looming doubts. He had done it. He had made the shot when it mattered most. For a moment he basked in the glow of success, the cheers of his teammates ringing in his ears. But as the excitement began to fade, the reality of the situation settled back in. Coach Thompson approached, and Jordan braced himself for the coach's reaction. "Nice shot, Matthews," Coach Thompson said, but there was an edge to his voice. "Now let's see you do that consistently. You can't afford to be a one-hit wonder." Jordan felt a mix of pride and frustration. He had proven himself in that moment, but the coach's words reminded him that nothing was ever enough. He was still walking a tightrope, balancing between success and the threat of humiliation. As practice ended, Jordan felt a sense of accomplishment but also unease. He had faced adversity, and while he had triumphed in that moment, he knew the battle wasn't over. The road ahead was fraught with challenges, and he would have to navigate them carefully. As he left the gym, the weight of the day's practice hung heavy on his shoulders. He could see the recruiter talking to Coach Thompson, their heads bent together as they discussed the practice. Jordan could only hope that the recruiter had seen the potential he knew he had. "Hey, you did great out there," Marcus said, clapping Jordan on the back as they walked together. "You really showed them what you're made of." "Thanks, man," Jordan replied, trying to mask the uncertainty in his voice. "But I can't shake the feeling that it's not enough. I need to keep proving myself." The two friends walked out into the crisp evening air, the sun setting on another day filled with challenges and triumphs. Jordan took a deep breath, ready to face whatever came next, determined to fight for his dreams and never back down. As the days passed, the pressure only intensified for Jordan Matthews. Each practice felt like a high-stakes game, with Coach Thompson's harsh critiques echoing in his ears. The recruiter's presence loomed over every drill, a constant reminder that each mistake could cost him his dream. Yet amidst the tension, Jordan tried to focus on the positives. He had gained respect from his teammates and a taste of what it felt like to stand up for himself. However, a gnawing doubt crept into his mind. Was he truly good enough? Every time he missed a shot or stumbled during a drill, he felt the weight of failure pressing down on him. He knew he had to keep pushing himself, but the fear of humiliation loomed larger each day. During one particular practice, tension hung in the air like a thick fog. Jordan could sense that something had shifted within Coach Thompson. The coach seemed more irritable than usual, snapping at players for the smallest mistakes. Jordan felt his stomach tighten as he watched his teammates struggle under the weight of the pressure. "Get it together," Coach Thompson shouted, his voice cutting through the gym like a knife. "You think this is a joke? We have a chance to impress the recruiter, and you're all playing like it's a casual pickup game." Jordan exchanged glances with Marcus, who looked equally uneasy. The pressure was mounting, and it seemed to be affecting everyone. Jordan took a deep breath, trying to center himself. He couldn't let the negativity seep into his own mindset. As practice progressed, Coach Thompson called for a scrimmage. Jordan's heart raced as he took his position on the court. He remembered the last practice when he had made that crucial shot, but now the thought of failure loomed large. He could feel the eyes of his teammates and the recruiter on him, every gaze a reminder of the stakes. The scrimmage began, and Jordan pushed himself, determined to prove his worth. He dribbled past defenders, made quick passes, and took shots whenever he found an opening. But just as he began to feel the rhythm of the game, he missed a layup, the ball bouncing off the rim and falling to the floor. "Matthews, what was that at?" Coach Thompson barked, his frustration palpable. "You're better than that. Get your head in the game." The laughter of a few teammates echoed in the gym, and Jordan felt the familiar rush of humiliation. He shook his head, trying to block out the noise. He couldn't afford to let the coach's words get to him. Not now, not when he was so close to achieving his dreams. As the scrimmage continued, Jordan fought to regain his focus. He made a couple of solid plays, but each time he stumbled, the coach's criticisms cut deeper. It was as if the more he tried to prove himself, the more the coach pushed him down. "Come on, Matthews, you're not a rookie. This is your chance to show everyone what you're made of." Coach Thompson's voice rang out, but instead of encouragement, it felt like a weight pressing down on him. As the practice wound down, Jordan felt a mix of frustration and determination. He had to find a way to break free from the cycle of negativity. He glanced at the recruiter, who was still taking notes, his expression inscrutable. Jordan's heart raced as he realized he needed to make a statement, to show everyone that he was more than just a player who could be easily crushed. "All right, last play," Coach Thompson called, a glimmer of intensity in his eyes. "Let's see what you've got, Matthews. This is your moment." Jordan felt adrenaline surge through him as he took the ball. This was it, his chance to turn the tide. He focused on the court, blocking out the noise and the pressure. He dribbled down the court, feeling the rhythm of the game flow through him. The defenders closed in, but he pushed past them, determination flooding his veins. As he approached the basket, he could hear Coach Thompson shouting instructions from the sidelines. "Drive to the hoop, don't hesitate." Jordan took a deep breath, remembering the support of his teammates, the camaraderie they had built. He leaped, releasing the ball with precision. Time slowed as he watched it sail through the air, a moment of clarity washing over him. Swish! The ball hit nothing but net, and the gym erupted into cheers. For a fleeting moment, the weight of the world lifted off Jordan's shoulders. He had done it. He had proven himself in that moment. The cheers of his teammates mingled with the sound of the ball hitting the net, creating a symphony of victory that resonated deep within him. But as the excitement began to fade, Jordan turned to see Coach Thompson's expression. A mix of pride and something else, something unnerving. The coach approached him, and for a moment Jordan felt the tension return. "Good shot, Matthews," Coach Thompson said, his voice low. "But don't get too comfortable. You need to keep pushing yourself. You can't afford to let up now." Jordan nodded, a mix of pride and frustration swirling within him. He had made the shot, but the coach's words reminded him that this battle was far from over. As practice concluded and the team huddled together, Jordan felt a rush of adrenaline. "Great job, everyone. Let's keep this momentum going," he encouraged, but he couldn't shake the feeling of unease that clung to him. After practice, Marcus caught up with him as they walked out of the gym. "Dude, that last shot was epic. You really showed them," he said, clapping Jordan on the back. "Thanks, man," Jordan replied, but the nagging doubt still lingered. "But what if it's not enough? What if I can't keep this up?" "Just keep pushing yourself, and don't let Coach Thompson get in your head," Marcus urged. "You've got this." As they stepped outside into the cool evening air, Jordan took a deep breath, trying to shake off the doubts. He had faced humiliation and emerged stronger, but the pressure was still mounting. He needed to prove himself not just to Coach Thompson, but to the recruiter watching from the sidelines. The next day, as the team prepared for practice, Jordan couldn't shake the feeling of impending doom. He knew he had to rise above the challenges ahead and continue to fight for his dreams. With determination in his heart, he stepped onto the court, ready to face whatever came next. As the days rolled by, the weight of expectation pressed harder on Jordan Matthews. The college recruiter would be returning soon, and the anxiety gnawed at him like a persistent itch. He had tasted victory during that last practice, but the memory of Coach Thompson's relentless criticism lingered like a shadow, threatening to dim his renewed confidence. Each practice felt like a trial, and Jordan could sense the tension in the air mounting as they prepared for the recruiter's arrival. Today, the gym was filled with the familiar sounds of sneakers squeaking on the polished hardwood and the rhythmic thud of basketballs bouncing. Jordan arrived early, determined to get in some extra practice before his teammates showed up. He dribbled the ball, lost in thought, visualizing each shot he needed to make. As he practiced his layups, he caught sight of his reflection in the wall-mounted mirrors. The determination in his eyes was undeniable, but so was the flicker of doubt. "Hey, superstar," Marcus called out as he entered the gym, breaking Jordan's concentration. "You're here early, getting ready to impress the recruiter again?" "Just trying to get in the zone," Jordan replied, forcing a smile. "I can't afford to slip up now." Marcus nodded, his expression shifting to one of concern. "You've got this, man. Just remember what you did last time. Don't let Thompson get to you. Jordan appreciated Marcus's encouragement, but couldn't shake the feeling that he was on a tightrope, balancing between success and failure. The coach's mood swings added an element of unpredictability that left Jordan on edge. Would today be a day of support or a day of harsh criticism? As practice began, Coach Thompson entered the gym, his presence immediately commanding attention. The coach wasted no time, launching into a tirade about the importance of focus and discipline. Jordan could feel the tension ripple through the room, and he steeled himself for whatever was coming. "All right, listen up," Coach Thompson shouted, pacing back and forth like a caged animal. "We have the recruiter coming in tomorrow, and I expect you to show him what you're made of. No slacking off. I don't want to see any more of those pathetic layups." Jordan's stomach dropped. The pressure was already palpable, and the coach's words only added to the weight on his shoulders. He glanced at his teammates, who wore expressions ranging from determination to anxiety. As they moved into drills, Jordan focused intently, trying to block out the negative energy. But with every mistake, he felt the coach's piercing gaze on him. "Matthews," Coach Thompson barked after Jordan misfired a shot. "You think that's acceptable? You want to play at the next level? You better start showing me something." The laughter from his teammates felt like daggers, each chuckle another reminder of the humiliation he was desperate to avoid. Jordan fought to keep his composure, but the pressure was mounting. With each passing moment, he felt the walls closing in, and the anxious energy in the gym began to seep into his bones. "Come on, Jordan, focus!" Marcus shouted, clearly trying to rally him. Jordan appreciated the support, but felt the weight of expectation crushing him. During a scrimmage, Jordan found himself in an intense back and forth with his teammates. The pace quickened, and the stakes felt higher. As he dribbled down the court, he could see the recruiter watching from the sidelines, notebook in hand, ready to take notes on every move. The pressure was suffocating. He maneuvered past a defender, feeling the thrill of the game surge through him. The basket loomed ahead, and in that moment, everything froze. He felt the eyes of everyone in the gym on him, the coach, the recruiter, his teammates. Jordan took a deep breath, ready to make the shot. But just as he went up for the layup, he hesitated, the fear of failure creeping back in. The moment stretched on, and instead of releasing the ball, he fumbled it, the ball slipping through his fingers and landing awkwardly on the floor. The gym fell silent, a collective gasp echoing around him. "Are you kidding me?" Coach Thompson's voice thundered, cutting through the silence. This is what I'm talking about. You think you can just coast by on talent? Get your head out of your ass, Matthews." The laughter erupted again, and Jordan felt the heat rise in his cheeks, humiliation flooding over him. He had let everyone down. His teammates' faces reflected a mix of sympathy and disappointment, but all he could focus on was the crushing weight of failure. The moment felt like a nightmare he couldn't escape. "Let's take a break," Coach Thompson barked, his frustration palpable. Players dispersed, but Jordan remained rooted in place, the sting of embarrassment crashing over him like a wave. He took a deep breath, trying to ground himself, but the pressure was suffocating. "Hey," Marcus said, stepping closer, "you're still doing great. Don't let today get to you. You know you can do this." Jordan forced a smile, but inside he felt defeated. "Yeah, but what if I can't? What if I let the recruiter down tomorrow? Look, it's one practice. You've had great moments, and you'll have more. Just focus on what you can control," Marcus encouraged. "You're not just a player, you're a fighter." As the break ended and they returned to the court, Jordan felt a flicker of resolve. He had faced humiliation before, and he couldn't let it define him. Each time he stepped onto the court, he had to remember why he was there. He was fighting for his future, for his dreams. As practice resumed, Jordan pushed through the anxiety, focusing on each movement, each play. He was determined to bounce back, to show everyone that he was more than just a few missed shots. He could feel the energy shift slightly as the team rallied around him, offering support as they moved through drills. When the time came for the final scrimmage, Jordan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He focused on the rhythm of the game, blocking out the noise and reminding himself that he was capable of greatness. The pressure was still there, but he was no longer just trying to survive. He was ready to thrive. As the final buzzer sounded, the gym erupted in cheers, and Jordan felt the adrenaline coursing through him. He had faced adversity and had risen to meet it, But as he caught the eye of Coach Thompson, he wondered if it was enough to impress the recruiter. "Good job, everyone. We're ready for tomorrow," Coach Thompson called out, his voice cutting through the din. Jordan felt a mixture of relief and apprehension, knowing that the real test was just around the corner. He had faced challenges, but the most significant battle was yet to come. The day of the recruiter's return dawned with an anxious energy that buzzed throughout the school. Jordan Matthews could hardly concentrate in class, his mind replaying every moment from the past practices, the criticisms, and the fleeting glimpses of triumph. He was acutely aware of the stakes. This was his chance to turn dreams into reality, and he felt the weight of that responsibility pressing down on him. As he entered the gym for the final practice before the recruiter arrived, the atmosphere was electric. His teammates were gathered, stretching and joking, but Jordan could feel an undercurrent of tension. Everyone was aware of the significance of the day ahead. He took a deep breath, trying to calm the storm brewing in his stomach. "All right, team," Coach Thompson's voice rang out, commanding immediate attention. "Today's practice is crucial. The recruiter will be here shortly, and I expect you all to bring your best. No excuses." His eyes scanned the group, landing on Jordan for just a moment longer. "Matthews, I'm counting on you to show what you've got today." Jordan swallowed hard, his heart racing at the implication. Coach Thompson had put him in the spotlight, and he felt the pressure intensify. He nodded, forcing a confident smile, but inside he was a whirlwind of anxiety. The practice began, and they moved through drills with a sense of urgency. Jordan focused on his movements, trying to block out the noise of the coach's criticisms. He shot layups, practiced free throws, and ran through defensive maneuvers. But as each minute ticked by, he felt the tension in the room mount. As the time approached for the recruiter to arrive, Coach Thompson called for a scrimmage. "Let's see how you all work together," he said, his tone brokering no dissent. Jordan's heart thudded in his chest as they took their positions. This was it, the moment of truth. As the game began, Jordan threw himself into the action, determined to showcase his skills. He dribbled the ball, weaving through defenders, feeling the adrenaline rush as he made quick passes and open shots. The energy in the gym surged as players shouted encouragement, and for a moment, Jordan felt invincible. But just as he was starting to find his rhythm, disaster struck. In an attempt to make an ambitious play, Jordan went for a flashy pass to a teammate. The ball slipped from his grip, careening off course and landing in the hands of an opposing player. The gym fell silent, and he could feel the eyes of his teammates and Coach Thompson on him, waiting to see how he would respond. "Seriously, Matthews?" Coach Thompson barked, frustration evident in his voice. "You think you can impress anyone with that kind of nonsense? Play smart." The laughter that followed stung like a slap in the face. Jordan's cheeks burned with embarrassment as he tried to shake off the moment. He had a choice to make. Let the humiliation crush him or rise above it. He took a deep breath, reminding himself of the importance of this moment. He wouldn't let one mistake define him. Not today. As the scrimmage continued, Jordan focused on regaining control. He took a step back, playing smarter and more calculated. He moved without the ball, creating space for his teammates. He set screens, made smart passes, and gradually began to find his groove again. With each successful play, he felt the confidence creeping back, but the ever-watchful eye of Coach Thompson loomed large. Then it happened again. With the clock winding down, Jordan found himself with the ball in a critical moment. He could see the basket ahead, and the faces of his teammates were a blur of encouragement and anxiety. He dribbled hard, driving toward the hoop, but just as he was about to take the shot, he hesitated. The fear of failing again gripped him like a vice. "Shoot it, Matthews," Marcus shouted from the sideline, breaking through the fog of doubt. "You've got this." With the sound of his friend's voice igniting a spark within him, Jordan pushed aside the fear and launched himself into the air, releasing the ball with everything he had. Time seemed to freeze as he watched it arc toward the basket. Swish! The ball hit nothing but net, and the gym erupted into cheers. For a moment, Jordan felt suspended in time, the exhilaration of the shot washing over him. He landed back on the court, his teammates rushing to celebrate, and for the first time that day, he felt a sense of belonging and accomplishment. The laughter had turned to cheers, and the pressure began to lift. But just as quickly, the moment of triumph dissolved when he saw Coach Thompson's expression. His face was devoid of joy, a mix of scrutiny and disappointment still etched across it. Jordan couldn't help but feel uneasy. Had he done enough? Had he truly impressed the recruiter? The whistle blew, signaling the end of practice, and Jordan felt a sense of dread wash over him as he glanced at the clock. The recruiter would be arriving soon. He wiped the sweat from his brow, his heart racing as he tried to shake off the anxiety. "All right, gather around," Coach Thompson called, rallying the team into a huddle. "We've got one shot at this. I expect every single one of you to give it your all. Remember what you've learned and play as a unit. Jordan, you're our key player. Don't forget it." Jordan nodded, feeling the weight of the coach's words settle on his shoulders. He wanted to prove himself, but he couldn't shake the feeling that the coach's expectations might just be too much. As the team broke huddle and prepared for the recruiter's arrival, Jordan felt the anticipation in the air. His teammates were buzzing with excitement, but he was consumed by uncertainty. Would he be able to handle the pressure? Would he rise to the occasion? Or would he crumble under the weight of expectations? The gym doors swung open, and the recruiter stepped inside, clipboard in hand, ready to observe the players. Jordan's heart raced as he forced himself to take a deep breath. He had to believe in himself, to trust that he had the skills to back up the confidence he had built over the past few weeks. As practice resumed, Jordan focused on every movement, every pass, every shot. He played with intensity, determination burning in his chest. This was his moment to shine, and he was determined not to let it slip away. With the spotlight on him, Jordan dribbled down the court, a surge of adrenaline propelling him forward. He could see the recruiter watching closely, and in that moment, he realized he was not just playing for himself. He was playing for every athlete who had ever felt underestimated, every player who had ever been belittled. He was ready to prove that he was more than just a name on a roster. He was a force to be reckoned with. As the practices continued and the stakes climbed higher, Jordan felt the pressure culminate into a boiling point. It was time to face the challenge head-on and show everyone, including himself, what he was truly capable of. The gym pulsed with energy as Jordan Matthews prepared for the final practice before the recruiter arrived. He could feel the anticipation in the air, the weight of expectation settling heavy on his shoulders. Today was the day he would prove himself, not only to Coach Thompson and the team, but also to the recruiter who could change his future. As the practice began, Coach Thompson's demeanor was intense, his voice echoing through the gym. "Let's make today count. Show the recruiter what you're made of." The coach's piercing gaze swept over the team, landing on Jordan for a moment longer than usual. The pressure tightened around Jordan like a vice, but he pushed it aside, focusing on the game ahead. Jordan took his place on the court, heart racing and palms sweaty. He could see the recruiter sitting on the sidelines, clipboard in hand, ready to take notes. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the culmination of all his hard work and determination. He had faced humiliation before, but today, he would rise above it. As practice unfolded, Jordan threw himself into every drill, making quick passes and sinking shots. He felt the rhythm of the game flow through him, a familiar rush that reminded him why he loved basketball in the first place. With each basket, he could feel his confidence building, a shield against the doubts that had plagued him. But just as he began to find his groove, Coach Thompson called for a scrimmage. The intensity in the gym skyrocketed, and Jordan felt the adrenaline surge through him. This was it, the chance to showcase his skills in front of the recruiter. He took a deep breath, willing himself to focus. The scrimmage started, and Jordan played hard, moving with purpose. He dribbled the ball down the court, weaving past defenders, feeling the thrill of the game. He made a couple of impressive plays, earning cheers from his teammates, but the pressure never fully lifted. Coach Thompson's voice rang out, a constant reminder of the stakes. "Come on, Matthews. You need to be the one we can count on," the coach barked, his frustration palpable. Jordan felt the weight of those words, the expectation hanging heavy in the air. He couldn't afford to falter now. As the game progressed, Jordan found himself in a critical moment again. With the clock winding down, he had the ball in his hands, the game on the line. The recruiter was watching closely, and he could feel the tension in the gym rise. He had to make this shot. There was no room for doubt. He dribbled past a defender, the seconds ticking away like time bombs in his mind. He could see the basket ahead, an open lane calling to him. In that moment, everything else faded away. the coach's expectations, the laughter of his teammates, the weight of responsibility. It was just him and the basket. Jordan leaped, releasing the ball with a sense of clarity that felt almost surreal. Time seemed to slow as he watched it soar through the air. Swish! The net rippled, and the gym erupted into cheers. His teammates rushed over, celebrating the moment, and Jordan felt a rush of euphoria wash over him. But as the cheers echoed in his ears, he turned to see Coach Thompson's expression. To his surprise, the coach was nodding, a hint of approval in his steely gaze. "That's what I want to see, Matthews. Keep that energy up." The moment felt surreal, the culmination of all his hard work and determination finally paying off. Jordan felt a swell of pride, but the reality of the situation still loomed large. He had made the shot, but would the recruiter see it as enough? As practice concluded, Jordan's teammates gathered around him, their excitement palpable. "Dude, you were on fire," Marcus exclaimed, clapping Jordan on the back. "You proved yourself out there." "Thanks, man," Jordan replied, but the doubts still lingered in the back of his mind. He had faced humiliation and had risen to meet it, but the journey was far from over. The true test would come when the recruiter made his final decision. When the recruiter approached Jordan after practice, he felt a mix of anticipation and anxiety. "Jordan," the recruiter said, his tone serious but respectful, "I've been watching you closely. You've shown remarkable talent and resilience, especially after facing adversity. That last shot was impressive." Jordan's heart raced. "Thank you, sir. I'm just trying to prove I can compete at the next level." The recruiter nodded, a glimmer of understanding in his eyes. "I appreciate your determination. I've seen many players come and go, but what sets you apart is how you handled the pressure. You didn't let the coach's words define you, and that speaks volumes about your character." Jordan felt a rush of gratitude. "Thank you for noticing. I've worked hard to get here, and I want to keep pushing myself." The recruiter smiled, and Jordan's heart soared with hope. "I'd like to extend an offer for a scholarship. I believe you have the potential to thrive at the collegiate level. But remember, it's not just about the game. It's about how you carry yourself off the court as well." Jordan could hardly believe what he was hearing. I'd be honored. Thank you." The words spilled out, and he felt a mix of relief and excitement wash over him. This was the moment he had been waiting for, the culmination of all his hard work and determination. As the recruiter walked away, Jordan turned to his teammates, who were all beaming with pride. "I got the scholarship," he exclaimed, unable to contain his joy. The gym erupted into cheers, and Jordan felt a sense of belonging that he had fought so hard to achieve. In that moment, he realized that he had not only earned the respect of his teammates and the coach, but also discovered a deeper sense of self-worth. He had faced humiliation and adversity, but he had risen above it all, proving that he was more than just a player. He was a fighter. As he left the gym that day, the sun setting behind him, Jordan felt a renewed sense of purpose. He was ready to embrace the challenges ahead, armed with the knowledge that he could overcome anything. His dreams were within reach, and he was ready to chase them with everything he had. Jordan had come full circle. He had faced the fear of failure, endured the weight of expectations, and emerged victorious. The journey had been difficult, but it had shaped him into the athlete and person he was meant to be. You've made it to the end. If you enjoyed this story, I am confident that you'll love the next one appearing on the screen now. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and please give this video a like. I'll see you in the next one.